All right, good evening. NXGN International. I am May Francisco, your host for tonight. And thank you for joining us in our NXGen Exceed Skills Masters training. We have definitely saved the best for last as NextGen Exceed's last offering for the year brings you one of the most respected business speakers of the country, award-winning leadership and motivational guru to talk about the disciplines of successful entrepreneurs. But before we move on to the meat of the program, let's seek for the Lord's guidance. Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight asking for your blessing as we gather together tonight for this important learning session. We pray for guidance, wisdom, and continued desire to find ways to excel in our work and help us to work together, encourage and challenge each other to reach higher and farther to be the best that we can be. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen. All right, so I know everybody is very excited tonight to start, but before anything else, let me just reiterate some reminders to ensure that we will all have a very productive time tonight. All right, so first, let us feel free to communicate and engage with our speaker and other attendees through the comment section. We appreciate your comments and feedback, even on Facebook, but keep them appropriate and very professional at all times. Ready your notepad, your pen to capture important learnings and to also add to your excitement. Please prepare your questions because our speaker will answer them after his talk. Now that we are all set, without further ado, allow me to properly introduce our very special speaker for tonight. Of course, as you may already know, our speaker is one of the country's most respected business speakers in the Philippines. He's a successful entrepreneur himself. He is well versed in the manufacturing and retail industries, and he owns Success Options Inc. and sits on the board of Primer Holdings Incorporated. He has written 24 books and counting, and many titles have become bestsellers in our country's top bookstores. He also holds a segment in a radio program called Business Matters at DZFE-FM 98.7, where he states his insights on business, values, and leadership. And tonight, he is also, of course, one of the most active personalities featured on podcast and TV online interviews. And his training, of course, through webinars for both public and private corporate clients have been well received. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the one and only Mr. Francis Kong.
Thank you, May. I particularly like the description, one and only. Parang one-tenth ng BIR at MBI. Ano, ha? So maraming salamat. Thank you very much for giving me your time. And it's always a pleasure to be with you guys. And my special thanks to Nath. Nath has been one of the most behaved students in my Level Up Leadership Masterclass. So if this were a school, I would have awarded him summa cum laude. And so tonight, thank you very much. And Nat has been a very good student actually, and he has contributed to a group. And can you imagine? We have 3 days of master class with some of the top people with NEDA, and sumasabay na yun si Sir Nat, and everything was just working out so well. So, your time is valuable, and thank you for investing your time with me. It's about time we stop saying spending time. Time is a resource you don't want to spend in, but spend on, but time is something you want to invest in. And that's what we have to make sure that that's what's going to happen tonight. Just like any business speaking, just like any business everywhere that has been affected by the pandemic, even in the industry of speaking and training, it has its fair share of challenges. The challenges have been accelerated and amplified, most especially now that we are confined within that small screen and in it smaller frames of people. Some of the people may have their videos turned off. Kaya nga yun ang challenge. For speakers like me, you don't really know whether the person is there or not, whether they're listening or not, or whether they are watching Squid Game or adding to cart. Now, the pandemic has changed a lot of things, but it has also revealed a lot of things. You have probably learned a lot more about yourself in the last year and this year because crisis does that to you. Change moves so fast. Crisis accelerates the pace of change. And crisis is not just an accelerator, crisis is a revealer. This crisis is showing you and I some surprising things about ourselves. Some good, level of resilience, fighting spirit, some that requires also a lot of work and improvement. When the pandemic hit, the immediate word that was used by speakers is free. Nung tinitignan ko sa social media and everywhere, nakpapanik mga speakers eh. Well, I don't blame them. You put yourself in my position. I'm used to doing about 300 talks and trainings and seminars and interviews and appearances every single year for the past 12 to 15 years. Suddenly, umpisa pa lang ng Taal volcano eruption, I had cancellations, most specifically in the southern Luzon part, and then suddenly nung nak-lockdown, 100% cancellation yan, including my book launching, I'm supposed to do a talk under the invitation of Doha or Qatar's Ministry of Investment and Trade, lahat po niyan. And we were supposed to be traveling to Europe for a round of trainings and seminars. Lahat na-cancel. Kaya nagpapanik din sila. And then, nung nakita ko, everybody began presenting live webinar, free webinar, free here, free there. I just look at that industry and I say, oh my goodness, these people are in a panic mode. My boss, she's my daughter now, I work for my daughter. Rachel says, Dad, don't you do that. You are not a startup and you are not a beginner. Anything that is of value carries a price. Nag-free webinar sila because they're so afraid that they might be forgotten and they just want to make themselves there para makita and then hopefully land an engagement or two. However, what we suggested as we reflected over this, we have to go back to our existing clientele by providing encouragement, no business included, just to provide, you know, a pro bono 20 to 30 minutes video clips and then offering encouragement and quick tips on how to deal with the crisis. And many of the clients, by the way, appreciated it because that was the very moment of need and we offered it with no other intention. We were not there in order to get more business. We were not there in order to get ourselves known. But we realized, ito yung mga kliyente natin they need help. So, if you try to take a look at both things, there's a difference in focus. One is focused on the need to promote oneself because of the crisis. The other one is focused on how we can add value to clients during their time of need. That is extremely important. The question now is, saan ka nakafocus? Oh, you might be in business, but you might not be focused on the real needs and the demands and the purpose of doing business. You may not be in business, but you may be focused on certain things that will not add value to you. So, and we are very thankful to those who provided free webinars actually. Bakit? May gamit eh. Because of the free webinars, began by training people to get used, began by these people who were so afraid that they might be forgotten and they don't have projects. What happened then was those free webinars started training people to get used and to be comfortable with training through webinars. It made my life and work easier. A few months after the initial lockdown, people now begin to get used to it. Two things I have learned from the experience. One, in times of crisis, the more we need to be rational instead of being emotional. And so we need the help of people who can give us sound advice. Two, the world has changed. We now need collaboration more than competition in order to grow our business and make it future ready for a different world we are entering. Three, we need to add value because ang kliyente hindi lang yung source na tayo kikita, hindi lang sila yung ang tingin sa kanila pagkakakitaan. They are the purpose why we have business. So, we have to learn to care for them. We have to learn how to add value to our clients. You know what the results were? Clients came back and they're extremely grateful. They gave me even more projects once they were settled. They appreciated the gesture of care given them. What about those who gave free webinars? Na nakpanic. Well, they decided to do things for themselves, but they did not achieve their objectives and they are not doing very, very well today. And so there's a need to have a focused mindset than to think that we can do everything on our own. We need to have a focused mindset on how to understand how to do business, but the main subject and object and target of focus should be on the things that will add value not only to our ability to make money, but even more importantly, on how we will be able to improve the lives of our clients and to add value. So let me give you a little bit of what's happening right now. What is the pandemic anyway? I've always described the pandemic is simply an epidemic with passport that has gone global. Where are we now? From an epidemic in Wuhan that has become global, and Europe now is having a spike. Germany is having a spike. My son and my daughter-in-law just got back from Denmark. Denmark now is having a spike. And then we are now hoping that from the epidemic, it becomes pandemic. Now it should go into endemic. And by the way, the spike of the cases affected many of those who are not vaccinated. What is endemic anyway? Endemic is simply, as the Minister of Singapore would say, we have to learn how to live with it. Parang flu, parang coughs, and so forth and so on. COVID-19 has caused massive changes to the individual as well as the organization, such that you cannot expect culture to go back to its form. No, 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 that's not gonna happen. Hindi mo na dapat i-expect yung, you know what? When all of this is over, there's going to be no such thing. There will be no returning back to the way we used to do things, even when the virus situation improves. So, what's this, huh? And I want to prepare all of you for this. When COVID-19 happened, speakers began using the term, we are now entering the new normal. I was never comfortable with that term. I never used it. You have to forgive me, may pakapilosopo po kasi ako eh. New normal? Well, I'm not sure about that. Anything that is new could not be normal, and anything that is already normal could not have been new. As a matter of fact, McKinsey Consultancy Company refuses to use the word new normal. What they use is, we are entering next normals. In other words, we are entering different phases of change na akala natin magno-normal na yan, and then magbabago na naman, and then you go to the next wave of change. So, the crisis was not caused by an economic crisis. The crisis is caused by a health crisis. Therefore, it may be possible for us to assume that a health recovery can lead us back to an economic recovery. Doesn't it make sense? So, you begin to see bakit dito sa atin nangyayari kasi mass vaccination, binibilisan, and then people like me, I'm waiting for the booster shots. For some, The damage brought about by the responses to the crisis has brought irreparable damage to certain industries and companies. Jobs have been lost, businesses closed. In general, however, the recovery depends on how we prepare for it. So that is the situation. And now I'm going to share with you what I've been busy with. It's inexplicable. Something like 5 weeks ago, mataas pa yung cases natin. But my personal Spider-Man tingly sensation seems to point me to the direction of better future and better days coming. Kaya nga, as early as about 3 to 5 weeks ago, panay na ang reformat ko ng mga lesson plans ko sa mga training programs. And I have begun preparing new sets of training materials just to show you how this reflects the new reality that I'm expecting. I'm beginning to use words that start with letter R. Rally, rebound, recovery, renewal, restoration, revitalization. Why? I see possible good signs. Mass vaccination is there. Booster shots coming in. Opening up of the economy. I'm involved with a company with retail stores. That's why I would know. Ngayon pa lang, puno na naman yung malls. Ngayon pa lang sa Metro Manila, traffic na naman. Yung sales namin sa aming brick and mortar stores, yung retail, shut up again. Ay nakakatawa. Just for your information, by the way, I sit on the board of a company with the following stores. ROX, Brat Pack, Travel Club, Victorinox, John Sports, North Face, Columbia. Ang Travel Club, matagal nang tumahimik Walang nagta-travel Just this week alone, ang lakas ng benta ng mga luggages namin. Nung tinanong namin sila, are you contemplating, are you traveling na? Hindi pa. Pero naghahanda na kami. It's a very strange time. Next, quarantine, total lockdown. Kung hanggat maaari, ayaw na ng gobyernong gawin yan. Because they have seen the devastation not only against lives, but livelihood. Next, Christmas time. You and I understand. Christmas in the Philippines begins on September 1, the moment Joe Marichan comes out. Diba? And then Christmas time ends on Feb 13 to give way for Valentine's Day the next day. Ang Pinoy mahilig sa festivities. Elections time, umiikot na yung pera. Opening up of certain countries for travel, local resorts lang. You guys know this. Punong-puno na. Reservations lamang. My client, Cebu Pacific, is adding more flights. And so, hindi lang yon. This is the part that a lot of people do not know. The big Silicon Valley tech companies are building hubs right now, even as we speak, here in the Philippines. Amazon is building. Google is building. I became a brand ambassador for Ali Cloud. That is the cloud services. For the first time, a cloud services company built a hub in this country. So, things are beginning to show certain signs of development. God has been merciful with our country. For unexplained reason, when every prediction was the last quarter na tinamaan pa tayo ng isang lockdown, baksak na ang GDP natin, tumaas nga So, that's inexplicable. With what? 6.5% GDP growth? Amazing. Well, take a look at the OFW remittances. Tomorrow evening, later by 2 hours from now, I'm going to be addressing thousands of Filipinos from the Middle East, England, Singapore, all over the place. Tumaas na naman yung remittances natin. And of course, the BPO industry continues to grow. And what's happening now? What's happening now is ganun talaga ang buhay. You cannot just focus on one aspect without taking a macro view as to the overall developments of things coming. Now, I may be wrong, but I don't like to be wrong. I'm just expecting that things should be getting better now. So here are the following developments that will help you, huh? I hope you're going to find this useful. But first of all, I want to know you're not watching Squid Game and you're not adding to cart. So if you're ready to learn, chat it back to me. Say I'm ready. Abilisan. Yun. There you go. Niels, Jude, Yen. Good. Thank you, Albert. All right. So these are the following forecasts. These are the following projections. And these are the following things that are already happening and will be with us for a while. Although some wise guy says, business forecasting exists to make astrology look good. So inaalas ko yung mga projections na yan. On the contrary, silipin mo naman. You think our industry is difficult? You should see the industry of feng shui experts and fortune telling. Maraming galit sa kanila eh. Akala ko ba you can see the future? Bakit something as big as COVID-19 was not in your crystal ball? Remember 2019? Ano ang prediction nila? 2020 will be the year of the rat. It's going to be very, very good for business. Remember? Yan ang prediction nila eh. Oh, nakatotoo nga naman, naging year of the rat. Why? We are all in hiding. Number two, we only go out to buy food. Number three, when we buy food, we store it in our house and eat it later. Tayo naging rats. Sila, ang laki ng problema sa credibility. Eto na, papalapit na naman tayo sa December and maglalabasan na naman yan with their own predictions and everything. I wonder what they have to say about next year. That's not my business. I'm not in fortune telling. Here are the following things that are happening. The office wants their people back. One thing that has happened in the lockdown is that people miss people the most. The bosses want their people back. Why? The boss missed the people. And there are many people who are working in the house, they want to go back to the office. Why? Is it because they miss the bosses? I'm not too sure. I think they miss the pantry. And then they miss the high internet connection, air condition, and the free-flowing coffee. Next, ongoing experiment. Huwag kayong magwawala ha. If you guys are working, huwag kayong magmamadali. There's going to be a shift in work. Is it going to be a hybrid? Is it going to be 3-2-2-2-3-3? Hindi pa nating alam. And so, ang caution ko sa mga business owners and executives, whatever it is, you gotta consult your people. Huwag mong ipupwersahan. This is strange. In Australia, I got this news yesterday. There is massive resignation. Why? Diba? Why? Why would you resign? The lockdown has stressed them so much. So ngayon, nagbubukas ng konti ang Australia. They wanted to go out on trips. They wanted to search their purpose in life. That's what crisis does. It changes a lot of mindset. Dito naman sa atin, bago nangyari yung huling lockdown, di nagbubukas na. Kinotion ko yun eh. Ayaw makinig. Yung ibang mga bossing, pinilit. Ayun, nagkaroon ng attrition. Not a very good thing. For you guys naman, relax lang kayo, chill lang kayo. It's going to be an ongoing experiment. Wala pa tayong finality. In my last board meeting, I told them, teka, I told the HR, teka, anong policy pinag-uusapan natin? Everything is an ongoing experimentation. Don't do any policy. How can you put a permanent solution to a temporary situation? It doesn't make sense. So, Satya Nadella of Microsoft conducted 60,000 people interview on the hybrid and the work from home. Guess kung ano ang findings nila. Our new data shows there is no one-size-fits-all approach. One thing is sure though, people hate going back to their physical office because they hate commuting. Yan ang maliwanag, correct? They hate commuting. And so, number two, Digital is the new default. Guys, there's no going back. The great acceleration in the use of technology, digitization, and new forms of working is going to be sustained. Ang nangyari sa lockdown, naturuan na yung tao na masanay sa webinar. So, in-person webinar will be a mixed breed. Itong ginagawa natin, tatagal to. I'm now having invitations all the way until January plus of next year, and this is going to stay. Ang ganda naman nito, technology has democratized learning, brought down the expenses. Sanay na sanay na. I find myself reaching out to a lot more Pinoy and overseas workers now, and wider ang scope ang reach ko compared to dati. So, that's going to be something that will stay. Next, itong susunod na projection, hindi na ito yung 50 Shades of Gray. Ang tawag ko dito, 50 Shades of Green. Welcome the green economy. Wala ba kayo napapansin? Lahat ng mga advertising, PR, lahat ng news patungkol sa climate crisis because there's gonna be big money there. Our companies just signed a joint venture with a huge American company, specifically in that area of industry. Countries are at risk. According to the study, number one country at risk because of climate crisis, Japan. Guess who number two is? The Philippines. 3, Germany. 4, Madagascar. 5, India. 6, Sri Lanka. 7, Kenya. 8, Rwanda. 9, Canada. 10, Fiji. 11, Mandaluyong kung walang tubig na naman. Next, number 5, the increase and acceleration of healthcare and life sciences. Kapag nakakapakinig kayo ng mga speakers nagsasabing, we are entering the fourth industrial civilization, an economy that is dominated by artificial intelligence, self-learning machine, and algorithm, and VR, and Internet 2.0, 6G, luma na yan. Hindi na tayo entering there. It's already happening. Ang excitement ngayon, wala na dyan. Ang excitement ngayon nasa healthcare and life services. The acceleration of the vaccine against COVID-19 has put a lot of emphasis and money into the investment in CRISPR, gene editing, DNA sequencing, and so forth and so on. And then, watch this. Dito papasok ngayon ang ating company. Health is the new wealth. Peace is the new rich. Kindness is the new cool. Ang taas ngayon ng consciousness ng tao patungkol sa health. Dati hindi pinapansin yan eh. Dati, we play Russian roulette with our health. As a matter of fact, a lot of young people would abuse their body. Pero ngayon, naintindihan na ngayon ng tao, importante pala ang health. And then, ito ang dagdag ko. Health is the new consciousness. It is also the new luxury. My goodness. Our products are not cheap. Correct? Mahal siya. Eh bakit ang lakas ng benta? Naging essential eh. Nagsisell sa essentials, essential. Next, I was given a machine from Singapore. Buti na lang, ginawa nga akong brand ambassador. This machine now turns water into antioxidant. This machine cost 235,000 pesos. And then, Korean company came up with a small appliance. Binili ko lahat ng family members ko eh. This mask cost about 9,500 pesos. The battery pa, meron pang ventilador, so forth and so on. Therefore, health is the new consciousness. Health is also the new luxury. And guess what? This is going to be accelerating. This will grow even more. Because people now are conscious. Some people are sitting on the fences and thinking, pasok kaya ako dyan sa next gen na yan? Okay kaya yung vitamin supplement na yan? Well, I've got two things that you might want to consider. Number one, the aging population. Tumatanda na kasi ang tao ngayon all over the world. Number two, this black swan event called COVID-19 and the constant projection that this will not be the last health crisis that the world will ever experience. Six, government's involvement and increasing role. Mas malakas ngayon ang involvement ng gobyerno sa negosyo. Siyempre naman, this is not just happening in the country, this is happening all over the world. Why is that so? It's a different world eh. Nagbago na ang mundo. E di siyempre, iba ng sitwasyon, kailangan may mga bagong regulatory na papasok. Kaya nga, yung FDA, itong mga DTI, itong mga government institutions and everything else, they will have to come up with new regulatory requirements, most specifically where? In fintech. Ang lakas ng development dyan. Next, think of the word phygital. This is going to be huge. This is the combination of physical with digital platforms and equipment. Now, kaya kami, nagbawas na kami ng tindahan. From 400 in the Philippines plus Asia Pacific, we've reduced this to only 200. But we are not believers of the naysayers and the doomsayers that says retail is dead. Brick and mortar is down. No, no, no. You don't understand what you're talking about. Let me give you an argument kung bakit ang retail malakas pa rin. Number one, in the Philippines, we don't have museums. We don't have parks. The mall is the center of family activities. Am I right? So there will always be traffic there. Number two, the millennials have experienced old-style shopping inside the store, but not the Generation Z. They're gonna be excited in trying it out. So, kung yung nakikita mong litratong yan, luma na yan, nobody wants to wear those bulky, ugly, super big things na mukha kang Martian or alien. That's why, watch out, ha? Etong si paring Jeff, si paring Larry, si paring Mark, tsaka si paring Tim, nagmamadali na sila. Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Larry Page of Google, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, in collaboration with Ray-Ban, and Tim Cook of Apple, is now rushing the marketing of what is now called smart glasses. So ang mangyayari niyan, si May, papasok sa tindahan namin, habang hinahawakan niya ngayon yung mga produkto namin, yung salamin niya naka-hook up sa kanyang machine, pwede na siya mag-canvas voice recognition. Magkano ba ito sa ibang sources? That's going to happen. And then, of course, VR will enable you to be able to see with your own eyes through the glasses kung ano ang itsura mo pag tinry mo yung damit na yan without ever having to enter the dressing room. So those things are happening. What's home furnishing? Yang IKEA na yan. Hindi ako magtataka pag lapit mo naka-smart glass ka, titingnan mo lang ngayon yung sofa na yan. Isang voice recognition lang, yung sofa mo nakalagay na dun sa sala mo. Doon mo makikita ang itsura. Are you getting the drift? We're entering there. Doon na tayo papasok. Next, think metaverse. Facebook, think metaverse. Microsoft. Anong gusto nilang gawin? Ang gusto ng mga to, habang buhay na tayo sa virtual dahil lalakas ang kikitahin nila. Sa virtual ka na, manunood, magbabayad, magsusubscribe, gagastos. Guys, as early as now, don't allow yourselves to be encaptured by things like this. You have to be very careful. Life is reality. It's not virtual. So, next, restructuring of corporate portfolios. Are you guys still okay with, are you still with me? Are these things helpful to you guys? Yes. Kasi, introduction pa lang to eh. Bukas pa yung main lesson. But you and I, as business people, we have to understand our surrounding. We have to see the world and we have to see where we're going. So, next, restructuring of corporate portfolios. For many of you who work in the offices, wag kang magugulat. Pagbalik mo sa opisina, baka iba ng may-ari. Nabili na o may binili na kayo. So, every time there's mergers and acquisitions, there will be a revamp in organization. But guys, just a warning. Huwag mong sasabihin na hindi ko kayo winard. I am preparing lessons because I can sense out of my many years, 30 plus years of experience, we are entering a world wherein there will be massive changes happening in the business organization, almost to the same intensity and scope of what happened in the 80s and the 90s when the personal computer entered the picture. Those were the days ang lakas ng change nung araw. So, we are entering a similar phase, albeit it can even be intensified many, many fold. So, don't be don't be shocked. Right now, even as we speak, I have one huge organization, an entire department is being broken apart. Hiniwalay na. Tapos, iba na ang nilagay na lead, iba na ang because things are different. For some of you who would not understand, and there are many who don't understand what's happening, stress na nga sila itong 20 months na to. Pagpasok, dagdag stress pa, they might not be able to know how to handle it. Next, supply chains. Geopolitics is part of that. Logistics are now very challenging. Kitang-kita na nangyari ito eh. Marami mga negosyante, kararating lang ang in-order nilang mga produkto na costume for Halloween. They missed Halloween. Luging-lugi na sila dyan. Marami ako mga kilala mga business people, lalo na yung mga homegrown lang, naghihintay pa ng produktong delivery dahil yan ang pangbenta nila ng Christmas. There's a very, very high possibility na madidelay yan. Geopolitical tensions, trade wars, delays in importation and transaction, unpredictability of consumer needs and wants, and guess what? Shortage in computer chips. We currently are in need. We are ordering 5 units of gamers laptop. Yun ang ginagamit namin dito eh. Kaya mas mabilis, mas powerful. We can't get one. So, I don't know, baka malaki ang discount hinihingi ko kaya wala akong stocks. But we can't get one. Hindi ito katulad ng dati. There are car companies in America that closed down because they don't have enough chips. Apple has to stop manufacturing their iPads and use the chips for their iPhone dahil mas malakas ang kita sa iPhone. And then this is one area that you would appreciate. Saving. Ang taas ngayon ng mga savings ng mga senior citizen katulad ko. Eh bakit? Hindi lumalabas yung mga anak namin, hindi kami nagta-travel, hindi kami gumagastos sa mamahaling restaurant. Kaya ngayon, yung mga revenge dining, revenge entertainment, revenge travel, kami yan nangunguna. So para sa mga magagaling, ang tinatarget nila, yung mga may edad. Alam nila sila yung may pera. And at the same time, dito ako pinapagalitan ko yung mga marketers. Sabi ko, pag nakikita ko yung mga billboard nyo, yung mga binebenta nyo, anti-aging cream, anti-wrinkle, ang mga modelo nyo, mga 16-year-old, napaka-unfair naman. Siyempre, pag 16-year-old lang yung model mo, wala pang wrinkle yan. Eh bakit hindi kayo gumamit ng mga senior citizen katulad namin? Isa lang naman lang reason. Walang bibili. So, these are the situations we are going through right now. Papasok na tayo sa main lesson. Eto na. Where does that put you and me? Well, every successful entrepreneur I know, they are so aware. Alam na alam nila kung ano yung nangyayari. Nakpro-project pa nga sila. And then, I don't know if Sir Nath remembers what happened this morning. Ang tanong ko nga sa kanila, Bakit nasurpresa ang bansa natin with the projection of the last quarter na gumanda? Tandang-tanda ko yung sinabi ng director sa NEDA kanina. Sabi niya, kasi from aversion of risk, ayaw gumastos yung iba, we have now translated ourselves into the management of risks. Tapos vaccination tumaas, and then the economy opening up, and then people now are willing to live with the pandemic. Hindi na naka-lockdown. So these are nothing but good signs for us. However, even though with the bright spots happening, let us just hope and pray and wish and desire that it becomes an endemic. For all you know, I may be wrong, but I wish I'm right. And we have to pray that this will be the situation. Even when the bright spots come, you and I will still have to exercise successful disciplines that entrepreneurs have no matter what the times are. Whether times were good and times were bad, times are normal or in a crisis situation, these are the following disciplines that you guys will have to practice, or else it will not be sustainable and you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. Ang tawag ko po dito, you and I should have the discipline of developing an entrepreneurial focus and mindset. That's why I started with the question, saan ka nakafocus? So let's start with number one. Number one is this. Lahat ng nakita kong successful entrepreneurs, they have a junkyard dog mentality. Yun. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Sino po sa inyo mahilig sa dogs, pets? Taas ang kamay para makita ko. Yes, Abby, kita ko. Neil, May, yes. Sheila, yes. Angel, Jojo, Jolo. Jolo pala. Okay. So, yan, Jonel, Abby, yes. Ngayon, napakahilig ko sa pet dogs. There was a time when I had 4 Siberian Huskies. Pagdala ko ng isang Siberian Husky sa Unimart, umiiwas yung tao eh. Sabi ng mga tao, lobo, lobo, lobo. Hindi, Siberian Husky yun. Kasi during those days, hindi pa masyadong kilala. Nung lumipat na kami, nawalan na ako ng terrace. Lumipat kami sa mas maliit na lugar. Nagkaroon ako ng 3 chow chow. Ang hirap, grabe, i-maintain yung chow chow. Yung huskies, pag sinabi mong Gustav, ganun. Yung chow chow, pag sinabi mong Chewy, grabe, royalty eh. Napakatapang. Ako nga nakagat eh. Do you know that chows are fighting dogs in the royalty? Kings use chow to fight each other. Parang pinapasabong sila ha. Kaya ganito sila katapang. No? Snappers ang chows. Correct. Kaya nung minsan dala ko yung chow sa BGC, nilalakad, dumating yung friend, yung tatay ng kaibigan ng anak kong Koreano. Sabi niya, oh, so cute. Tapos pinipisil-pisil yung pisngi ng chow. Nagpe-pray ako, huwag mong kakagatin, huwag mong kakagatin. And so that's chow. Pagkatapos, so they all passed. Napunta naman kami sa French Bull. So, Frenchies naman. Nagkaroon kami ng 3 Frenchies. And now, I still have 1 Frenchie and then my son has a Corgi. So, talagang huling-huli mo na mahilig talaga kami sa dog, right? Right? So, anong ibig sabihin ng successful entrepreneurs have a junkyard dog mentality? Here's the question. Sino po sa inyo nakapanood na action movie? Yung bang yung bida hinahabol ng kriminal o kaya baliktad, yung mga pulis hinahabol yung kriminal. Nakita yung junkyard, umakyat doon sa fence, pagtalon nila sa kabila, lapidan na ngayon yung mga aso. How many of you have watched that? Have you? Yan, standard scene yan. Tanong, anong klase mga asong lumalapit? Anong mga klaseng asong lumalapit? Describe to me. Yan, Rottweiler, di ba? Doberman, Bakit Beethoven? Mabait yun eh. Hindi, teka. So ano pa? Merong Rottweiler Pitbull. Yun. Ito, ang lalaki, di ba? In other words, they are vicious, they are fierce, and they are big. Hindi po yung ano, hindi po yung Shih Tzu, hindi yung Pekingese, hindi yung Chihuahua, yung bang pag lumalapit yung Chihuahua, hindi yon. So, anong ibig sabihin yan? Sabi ng mga friends kong tiga-vet, yun daw mga malalaking aso, kapag kinagat ka, many of them, they lock their jaw. Kaya ang tawag nila, lock jaw. And sometimes, you have to bring them to the vet to do intervention bago bumitaw yan. The reason why I say that successful entrepreneurs, they have a junkyard dog mentality. They don't just easily give up. Nakakagat yan. No? Now, I don't mean na this is toxic positivity without understanding reality, pero they understand. Here's a very important philosophy that I'd like to share with you. Business is seasonal. Business is cyclical. There are tides of business. Hindi po pwedeng lahat ng oras kumikita ka. Hindi rin pwedeng lahat ng oras nalulugi ka. Magsara ka na. Hindi na para sa iyo yan. So there are tides. Let me give you an example. Kaya ako, sanay ako dyan eh. Galing ako sa garments. Not many of you will know this. In 1985, I invented a local jeans brand. Sumikat. I made jeans, I made jackets, I made shirts. Joe Marichan was my model then. And the maneuvers. The brand is called Company B. If you're familiar with that. Sino po sa inyo nakaka-remember pa ng brand na yan? Company B. Yes, yun. Yung pong mga naktaas ng kamay katulad ni Neil, mga kabatchmate ko yan. Di ba? Hindi, joke lang. Sugi siya. And so, eto yun ha. Bibigyan kita ngayon ng dalawang trade secret. For every 10 designs na nilaunch ko sa merkado, I expect 7 designs to fail. But the 2 to 3 designs na lumakas ang benta, ang tawag namin dyan, saleable design, di ba? Pag lumakas yan, hindi lamang yung kumikita ko para bawiin yung lugi ko dun sa 7, pero kikita pa kami. That's why when people ask me, what's your business? Manufacturing of jeans? Sabi ko, no. I'm in the business of managing failures. Kung yung 7 na yan naging 6, mas lalaki kita ko. Lalo na ako naging 5. Bihira lang mangyari yan. Pero nangyayari din. Next secret. Pagpasok ng August, maraming nababaliw na mga kalaban ko sa larangan ng garments. Why? Baksak ang benta. Rainy days. July, August, September, flood pa. Bagyo, baha. Haven't you noticed? Your psychology in dressing up is greatly affected by the weather. Maraming hindi nakakaintindi yan. Kaya pag naglalabas ako ng design, inaaral ko ngayon yung environment. May mga months maglalabas ako ng mga kulay na alam kong akma. May mga months hindi ko pwedeng ilabas yung mga kulay na yan. Inaaral ko talaga to eh. That's what entrepreneurs do. They study every aspect of the business, from advertising to psychology to consumer behavior to channels and operations. Inaaral yan. Pedal pushers, correct, Angel. And so, ganitong nangyayari. Pag August, walang bumibili. Nagwawala ngayon yung mga kalaban ko. Kaya doon mo makikita, sale, 20% off, bawat isang pants, mayroon pang free towel. Ano ba? Anong kinalaman ng tuwalya doon sa pantalon na yan? Kung ano-ano. Ako naman, pagpasok ng August, wala na ako dito. I'll fly to Italy. I will fly at least man lang Japan. And then I'll go to Italy. I'll go to, what's this? I'll go to some Scandinavian country that's better known for their fashion and everything else. I'll do my research. Di pagbalik ko, May kargado na naman sa utak ko yung mga bagong design. Excited na naman ako. Sila naman nagwawala. Kahit anong gawin mo yung season na yan, hindi ka talaga bebenta eh. Pero pagpasok ngayon ng start of October, makikita mo nag-i-spike up na yan. October, November, grabe, December, yung benta namin sa isang tindahan in one day is equivalent to 2 weeks in an ordinary month. Kaya dapat nag-i-stock up na ako ng inventory. This is the reason why I understand perfectly the there are ebbs and flows. Tides continue to change. Business is cyclical. Business is seasonal. Kaya hindi ako nagwawala. What about COVID-19? This is one of those tides. Matagal na tayong walang pandemic eh. Crisis of this massive scale. Ito pumasok. But one thing I've known is that the tides will change. This is not the end of the world. COVID-19 is not a death end, it's a detour. Kaya, chill lang, relax lang. Hindi ako bumibitaw. As a matter of fact, we're investing. My daughter boss who's with me, Rachel, is investing. She's now coming up with new products next year for training. We have invested in these materials. I hope you get it. Ang problema ngayon, ay gusto kong pumasok sa business. Pero unang presentation pa lang ng Usana products, at pagkatapos sasabihin ng processor, ang mahal naman yan, hindi ko kaya. Ay, ayoko na, ang hirap bumenta. Ano ang common expression na, this job is not for me. Oh, have you ever heard people say that? Sige nga. Have you ever heard people say that, this job is not for me? Kapag nilalapitan ngayon ako ng mga taong nagsasabi, this job is not for me, ang sagot ko sa kanya, what job is for you anyway? Sige nga. Look, how many among you are mothers? Taas ang kamay. So we don't have time for chat. Yun, marami, di ba? Yan. So here's my question. What age does a child begin to walk? Ilang taon na sila naglalakad, natututong maglakad? 1 or 2, 11 months, correct. Pinapanood ko ngayon yung apo ko eh. I now have a grandson. I'm a grandfather. I have officially entered the apostolic mission. So, sinisilip ko yung anak ko, yung apo. Yung unang beses pa lang maglakat yung bata, natutumba o hindi? Yes. Bakit? May nakita ba ko yung baby nung pinanganak, biglang tumatakbo? Ano palagay mo sa kanila? Tiyanap? Di ba? Labo. And so, anong ginagawa mo pag natutumba? Pinupulot. Binabalance. Tinetrain. Next attempt. How many steps? Maybe 2. Two steps na. Natutumba? Of course. Oh, nung natumba, anong ginagawa? Pick the child up. Balance it. Wash, rinse, repeat the process. Next attempt, what? 3, 4, 5. So here's the question. Have you ever heard a child say, I don't think walking is for me? Duh. Labo. Lahat ng bagay sa buhay, mag-uumpisa ka, mag-i-stumble ka eh. And that's why the junkyard dog mentality is the true essence of one who is withstanding the efforts and the trials of entering business. Without which, I think you better work for something safer for you. That means wala kang tolerance to meet and endure the trials that will come. Maybe that's not cut for you. But I've got news for you. If this business is not cut for you because ganun ang attitude mo, I don't think there's much that would be available for you anyway. Everything we do entails risk. Next, successful entrepreneurs commit all of their time and energy in their idea. If you run your business as a hobby, guess what you will get? You will get loose change. But the bigger loss here is that you will never get to discover your potential for bigger business success. But if you commit your time and energy into your business, it does have a chance to grow. Simpleng-simple. Alam ko na yan. So when my son Brian and his lovely wife Maxine they're out in Europe. Alam ko na yan. Hihina ngayon yung benta niya. For your information, my son and Maxine developed a very successful ice cream brand na naging darling during the lockdown. Na social buzz yan na viral. It's a Japanese artisan ice cream called Kurimu. So, kanya yan. So, sa sobrang lakas ngayon ng benta niya, nung nag-honeymoon yan, alam na alam ko matatamaan yan eh. So, humina nga. Ngayon, bumalik na, akyat na naman. Ganun yun eh. You want to go into your business, pagkatapos kung ano-ano naman ang inaatupag mo, paano mag-grow yung business? Business, by the way, write this down. Business is always personal. Business is always personal. You cannot do business once in a while and then expect it to grow by magic. Successful entrepreneurs are disciplined people. They are not distracted by many things. Ito yung mga serial failures in business. Anong ibig sabihin niya? Pasok sa dito. Oh, maganda yan. Pasok. Mamaya, oh, ito mas maganda. Pasok na naman ako dito. Eh, wala silang focus eh. This is a lesson I learned many years ago from an insurance company president who told me, alam mo pare, itong mga grupong to, laging panalo yan. Year after year, awardees yan. Itong grupong to, tsamba. Pag na-award yan, minsan lang, minsan hindi. Itong grupo to, naku, milagro yan pag nakakakota yan. Sabi ko, bakit po? Nalaman ko kung bakit eh, sabi sa akin ng president. Noong minsan may pinatawag ko kung isa, kakausapin, nagmamadali siya, years ago pa yan yung briefcase niya, nahulog. Nung nahulog yung briefcase niya, nakbukas. Aba, nandun ngayon yung brochure ng Avon, brochure ng Natasha, brochure ng kung ano-ano. So, ang iniisip niya, sideline ako dito, kikita ako, sideline ako dito, kikita ako. Pag pinagsama-sama mo, malaki kita. Hindi, it doesn't work that way. Ngayon, silipin mo ngayon, yung ginagawa din ng ibang speaker and trainer. Doon ako nagtataka eh. Sabi ko, how can this guy accept invitations outside this person's field? Basta may invitation, kukunin niya eh. So suddenly, this guy now is teaching on sales, mamaya konti, teaching on finance, mamaya konti, teaching on leadership. Sabi ko, how could that be? Today, when you look back, you ask that person, or you ask people or the clients, what is he good at? Not sure. He's good at accepting invitations. Yun na lang ang competence niya. I've had a lot of invitations for me to speak in marketing. I marketed the local brand sumikat, ayoko. Gusto mo marketing, I'll introduce you to somebody else. I've had people invite me to speak on finance. I know a little bit about financial investments. I don't. I'll refer to someone. I'm going to concentrate on leadership, attitude, excellence, inspiration, parenting, yung pa rin. All throughout my years of life, doon ako nakabuhos. And then, why? Because it's my core competence. And the more, because this is my core, I'm gonna make my core even better than before every single day of my life. Why? Ito po ang natutunan ko kay Jim Rohn. If you do good in your work and your job, then you may earn a living. If you become excellent in your work and in your job, then you can earn a lot more. But if you happen to be the only one who can do what you do, you earn a fortune. In other words, you become a specialist in what you do. Gamay mo na, alam mo na, creative ka na eh. You know how to read. Until today, I'm still reading up and learning on leadership and communications and support. So focus, write this down. This is important. Focus is the new intelligence. Yun. Because there's just so many distractions. Nung panahon ko, nag-uumpisa ako, wala masyadong distraction. Ngayon, ang hirap. Nandiyan na si Squid Game, Art to Card. Nandiyan pa ngayon yung mga kung ano-anong lumalabas dyan. Number 3, Successful entrepreneurs like working with people. When you sell, you deal with people. When you buy, you deal with people. When you lead people. And when you manage, you still deal with people. When you deal with your partners in business, you still deal with people. Here's the truth. Pagdating sa prospecting the new customers, there is very little relationship for you at first. But your prospects will love your products when you relate to them, and they will begin to like you more and love you more, such that they will love the opportunities you offer them, and they would want to share the love with others too. It all begins and ends with relationship. Kaya nga business is personal eh. It's all about relationship. It's not, alam mo yung lumang cliche, ang samang pakinggan, just get the sucker to sign on the dotted line and we're in business. Walang ganyanan. It's always a building up relationship. Kaya nga, during the lockdown, hindi kami namibigay ng free webinar. Pero namimigay kami ng free encouragement because the motive was really there to help them, not for them to remember us or to get us for engagement. And this is also why you stay in touch with your people. You like networking with people. You learn from them. You share ideas with them. You mentor each other. And then you offer opportunities for growth. You gotta have good people skills. This business, actually, Usana trains you to become better. Walang tigil lang training, grabe. Tuloy-tuloy yan eh. In many other companies and industries, bihira ka magkaroon ng training. Usually, yun lang mga managers na mga matataas ang may budget for training. And this is also the reason why so many people now in this business have overcome their shyness. They have become confident in meeting people. After a seminar, may lumapit sa akin, napakagandang, bright and intelligent lady. Sabi siya, but Sir Francis, I just don't like people. What should I do? Ang sagot ko, get another life. You might want to work in a funeral parlor because nobody complains inside. Are you kidding me? So, next question. Should I leave my company now and then work for Usana and NXGN full-time? Ang sagot ko, do not leave your day job. Why? Your day job allows you the ability to do networking. But now you have to be creative in using your time to be able to do this business. Now, that's just part one of my explanation. Ito naman ang part two. If you're starting, don't give up your day job. Part two. When you begin to see the potential of this one, kahit hindi ka full-time, and then your business is growing, and you begin to see the potential of it, then the question now, should I leave my company then work full-time, will not even have to be asked in the first place. Correct? Pag nakita mo nag-grow ka na, automatically hindi ka na magtatanong, ang laki pala ng potential nito. And so you built your team, and you built your people, and now you're running a network of your own. Kaya, it's actually a question you don't even need to ask. If you are watching the growth and now you see the potential of this business. The reason why I say this because today, if you are not networking, you are not working. Business is all about building communities as well. You keep in touch with your downline and your clients. You communicate with them constantly. You provide them with important information that can help them improve their lives and their business. You conduct virtual chats and meets and parties and build and maintain relationships. It's always a people business. 4. Successful entrepreneurs have a talent for focusing on the solution rather than focusing on the problem. It has been said, if you keep on focusing on the problem, you will have more problems. But if you are focusing more on solutions, you will have more opportunities. The business world has no place for people with a low sense of worth and mindset. Kaya, depende yan. Nakafocus siya sa solution kaysa sa ang lahirap nito, pandemic and everything. No. Let me give you an actual story. I'm sure you have heard of this, but this is so cute. During the heat of the space race in the 60s, the U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, better known as NASA, sabi nila laki ng problema natin. How can we journal and record our findings? Eh pag nandun ka, walang gravity. So yung ink ng pen ay hindi bumababa. So they spent $1 million or something to develop a gravity pen that can operate in anti-gravity environment. Doon sila nakafocus doon sa problema yan eh. Ang kalaban nila mga Russians, walang pera. They focus on the solution. What did they do? They use a pencil. Tapos. So, today when you go to NASA, that pen is being sold for a few dollars as a souvenir. Next, Scotch Guard was discovered after a 3M chemist spilled fluorochemical on her sneakers and found out that it shed water, and when she tried to get it off, became a billion-dollar industry. Anong pinakasikat ngayon? Face mask. Anong brand ang pinakasikat? Client ko rin yan. 3M. Alam niyo ba, 3M face mask is a failed product. Because if you take a look at their original patent, it was originally designed to be a bra cup. Kaya ang dami mga tao ngayon may suot na bra sa kanilang bibig. It's supposed to be a bra cup. Look at how much money they made. And then, of course, the favorite illustration and stories of business people, yung post-it, dahil yung adhesive na-fail. Hindi lang yon. If you take a look now, COVID-19 is a problem to many. But to successful entrepreneurs, they look at it as a reset of the marketplace, a disruption that opens up new opportunities. People have changed their minds and are open to doing business. There are now new needs to provide. There are new problems to solve. A world of opportunity that awaits us. As a matter of fact, this now begins to create a series of serial entrepreneurs. Dito lang sa story natin, di ba? Dito sa company natin. May mga unang takot na takot pumasok dito sa business na to kasi hindi ako marunong mag-sell o kaya mataas na kasi ang antas ng aking profesyon, tapos papasok pa ako sa sales. Guess what happened? They realized, hey, ang lakas din pala ng nobility itong ginagawa natin. Kasi yung produkto natin nakakatulong sa tao eh. Hindi ka naman nagbebenta ng kung ano-ano. And so, they now begin to realize their potential. Masarap din pala ang selling and meeting people and learning and going through training and support and so on. So, nakaroon ngayon ng mga serial entrepreneurs. Yung iba na na-retrench, pumasok dito, may potential din naman pala. That's what crisis does. It upsets the whole thing. It introduces you to unprecedented problems, but it also introduces you to unprecedented opportunities. Number 5, successful entrepreneurs have that nasty, naughty feeling like they're never satisfied with their last success and are itching to try something new all the time. So, for those of you who are attending tonight as guests and friends of NXGN, I would like you to understand, itong industriyang to, kung masipag at marunong, malakas kumita dito, madaling kumita. Pero ito rin naman ang temptation. Minsan yung lakas kumita dito ay naging temptation para maging tamad din. So itong mga residual income na pumapasok, tagal ko nang nababalitaan yung mga stories sa ibang company. Sa Facebook, parang sikat na sikat sila at napaka-successful at napakasipag. Sa tunay na buhay, tatamad-tamad at pagkatapos, after a while, nawawala na ngayon yung galing nila. Our talent and abilities are like muscles. You don't use it, you lose it. So, Yung mga magagaling, yung mga tumatagal, ano naman ang sikreto nila? Meron po silang tinatawag na healthy sense of praningness. Anong ibig sabihin niyan? Maganda ang sense na pakapraning nila eh. Alam nila, parang rock stars and divas, I'm only as good as my last success. Kaya yung mga billionaires na kilala nyo, pare-pareho yan mag-isip. Their favorite question is, what's next? They can, these guys, nakatago lamang po sa kanila mga parking garage buildings. Buildings, hindi parking garage doors. They have Aston Martin, they have Lamborghini, they have multiple Ferraris and Porsche. Pero hindi mo halata. Simpleng-simple lang. These are the guys na hindi mo mababasa ngayon sa Facebook na napakyaman nila, napaka-successful. But these are the same guys whose favorite question is, what's next? Ano pa ang pwede nating pasukan? Kaya nga, they're still successful eh. They don't write on their past activities and successes. Meron silang healthy sense of praningness. Mapapag-iwanan ako nito if I don't shoot for the next one. That is why the number one reason for business failure is business success. Eh, successful naman tayo eh. Bakit pa tayo magbabago? Bakit ka pa? Alam mo, kumita na tayo. Relax muna tayo. Let's enjoy our earnings naman. I'm all for it. The balance of learning how to enjoy your business, your profit. But I'm also of the persuasion that the moment you enjoy it too much, at pagkatapos hindi ka na nag-e-exert, mapapag-iwanan ka, you're gonna be obsolete. The pandemic is so life-changing, such that even business will change dramatically and even online commerce and online business will be a function of doing business. Kasama na yan. Hindi mo na matatanggal yan. Watch this now. Ngayon nagbubukasan na ang tindahan. May traffic na. Yang online business na yan, affected. Bumaba na. See? That's what I'm saying. Business is seasonal. Business is cyclical. Grab, Lazada, lahat yan, bumagsak ang benta. Why? People are going out. So, they're not staying home shopping. They're actually out there buying. Some other people are not shopping. They're on vacation. Things are always on a state of flux. It's always changing. You cannot use today's example to be your formula forever. You also have to pivot. You also have to adapt. And that's why you will always have to ask yourself the question, what's next? You cannot rest on your past successes. Number 6. By the way, malapit na akong matapos. And then feel free to ask me questions because that asking question part is the most important part of our engagement tonight. 6. Successful entrepreneurs are continually learning from others. So, here is the challenge. Many old-fashioned people are stubborn. They resist anything that is new. Ay, nako. Ay, naalala ko to. Ay, nako, yung email na yan, para sa mga bata lang yan. That's many years ago. May nakausap nga ako teacher Alam mo, Francis, hanggang ngayon, hindi pa ako nag-i-email. Para sa mga bata lang yan. Sabi ko sa kanya, ma'am, huwag kayong magagalit. Yung hindi kayo marunong mag-email, hindi pinagmamalaki yan, kinakahiyan yan. Malaking kahihiyan po yan. Oh. Now, I'm beginning to see the same. Ay, nako, yung digital na yan, para sa mga bata lang yan. Kami mga matanda, guess what happened? During the lockdown, they discovered something. Masarap pala mag-TikTok. Oh. See? Di natuto na rin sila mag-technology. Same thing in doing business. Hindi mo po pwedeng sabihin, ay nako, marami na akong alam, matanda na ako, para lang sa mga bata yan. Kaya mapapadali yung pagtanda mo. You have to keep your mind young. So you have to constantly flex your mental muscles and to get excited. So, ang challenge ko nga, kahit na may edad ka na, bakit di mo pasukan to? Eh, di subukan mo. In the first place, you need the product yourself. At the same time, you might want to make money out of this product. A new adventure you would like to try. Which brings us to the last one. Successful entrepreneurs know their business philosophy. What does that mean? Ito po yun. The important thing with successful business people is not just the profit they're going to be making, but more importantly, the kind of people they will become as a result of doing business. Kaya may mga business, dahil naging successful, naging swapang eh. Yung business nakasama sa kanyang character. Dati hindi naman siya ganun. Kung kailan kumita, laging swapang. May mga tao naman, kung kailang nagiging successful, nagiging mapagbigay. Sumusuporta sa ministry, sumusuporta sa community work, kasi kitang-kita niya, ako pala ay magiging channel of blessing sa iba. So, dito pumapasok, i-distribute ko, dito pumapasok with the best. And here's the funny thing. The more they give, the more blessings they receive. Kakatuwa eh. Nakikita ko na eh. May mga tao nung nag-uumpisa pa lang sa buhay, simple naman. Naku, kung kailang umasenso, na-promoted, yumaman, ibang-iba na ang kanilang character. And then, when I look at people like this, I just remind myself, magiging short-lived ngayon ang success mo kung hindi ka magbabago ng attitude niya. History repeats itself eh. It's the same plot, it's the same story, palitan mo lang yung character. Pare-pareho yan. So, because they have forgotten the philosophy of doing business. What is the philosophy of doing business anyway? Tanungin mo yung tao, to make a profit? No. Mali ang turo eh. The purpose of doing business is to solve their problems, to be able to fulfill a need. Making a profit, suffering a loss, these are not purposes of business. These are outcomes of doing business. You do it right, you earn. You don't do it right, you lose. Outcome yan, hindi yung purpose. Ang purpose ay, may pangangailangan ba yan? May problema ba yan? Makapagbigay mo ng solution, nakakatulong sa kanya, pwede kong tugunan ang kanyang pangangailangan. If I do it correctly, then I'm rewarded with a profit. Now that I have a profit, I keep myself grounded. Hindi pwedeng lumaki ang ulo ko. And then, out of these blessings, I can then help others and support others as well. Let me summarize. And when I summarize this, I'm going to give you another major part. I-present ko naman sa iyo yung anatomy. Ito yung katawan ng isang entrepreneur. So, let's summarize this part. Successful entrepreneurs have a junkyard dog mentality. Next, they commit all of their time and energy into their idea. Next, they love working with people. Next, they have a talent on focusing on the solution more than just focusing on the problem. Next, they have this nasty, naughty feeling like they're never satisfied with their last successes and are itching to try something new all the time. Next, they're continually learning from others. And number 7, they understand their business philosophy. So how do you develop an entrepreneurial focus? Those are the disciplines. As I said at the beginning of my talk, I'm an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, importante po sa akin yung focus eh. So, let me give you now your entrepreneurial anatomy. Entrepreneurship is a needed element to live in a new reality. Why is that so? Sana, watch ha. Dahil masyado rin naman ako involved in the corporate world and I know technology happening, kami lang. We have to spend a lot of money. We got Deloitte to be our consultant. We have to do digital end-to-end processing and everything else. Sabi ko, medyo mahirap na. Ang tanong po sa akin minsan, what do you see the future as far as our children will be concerned? Sabi ko, what I can see is I don't have to look too far in the future. Ito nang nakikita ko. Number one, jobs are going to be scarce. Number two, even if they graduate and are able to get a job, the starting pay will be lower. Number three, the screening process in order to get a job will be more stringent. Mas marami kang kalaban ngayon. You're going to be having a lot of people who have been retrenched and willing to have a pay cut, but they are full of experience competing for your job. And even so, it is highly possible that one day your children are going to graduate out of college and universities and they will not be able to find a job. They will have to create their own jobs. That is going to be very, very possible. Kaya para sa akin, if the people begin to ask me, alam mo dati, ito yung pag-iisip ng mga matatanda. Alam mo, dito sa pamilya natin, dapat meron tayong anak na accountant, may anak tayong abogado, may anak tayong doktor. Ang iniisip nila, sarili nila. Di ba? Isipin mo. So, ngayon, kung ako tatanungin mo, importante din naman yung mga courses na yan and profession. Pero sa akin, whether you be a doctor, you be a lawyer, you be an accountant, you be an engineer, you have to think like as if you were an entrepreneur. Yan ang usapan ngayon. Dapat utak negosyante ka. Pag ginamit mo yan sa iyong profession, you will be a cut above the rest. My daughter Hannah is a fashion designer, but she's entrepreneurial. Nawalan ng weddings eh. So, ang kilala siya, sumikat siya sa wedding gowns and cocktail dresses. Ikot agad ang ulo. So, nag-develop na agad siya ng mga ibang produkto using technology and website. She's actually earning more. My son Brian has always been an entrepreneur, pero musikero yan. Nag-form sila ng banda. Nagkaroon nga ng 3 CDs. The name of the musical band is Taken by Cars. And so, nakilala sila, sumikat din, pero musician siya, pasok naman siya, naging professional photographer, naging entrepreneur doon sa kanyang restaurant with his Japanese partner Shinji. The name of the restaurant is called Crazy Katsu. Tapos ngayon, nag-develop na siya ngayon ng Kurimo. Every one of them, whatever it is that they are doing, they have this entrepreneurial mindset. Bakit? Habang lumalaki pa lang, yun ang training. Yung youngest ko, she's the only one who's single in the family. She's now handling one of the most difficult products you can ever handle. Her father, ako yun. Yan ang boss ko ngayon eh. Sabi, kaya siyang nag-iisip. Sabi ko sa kanya, ay naku, sa wakas, ituring mo na lang ako as talent. Kayo na lang ang mag-isip. And then they're coming up with a lot of products. So what is the meaning of having an entrepreneurial mindset? An entrepreneurial mindset is a set of specific set of beliefs, knowledge, thought processes that drives the behavior. And so, dito mo makikita ngayon yung anatomy. Ito yung kabahagi ng katawan ng isang entrepreneur. 1, brains. You invest in the non-stop pursuit of knowledge. You keep on learning. You keep on asking questions. Wala kang ini-skip ng mga training occasions at training opportunity na ginagawa ng leaders nyo. And so, you learn from those who are good and competent. Hindi ka naiinggit doon sa mga malalakas kumita. Hindi ka mayabang doon sa mga nag-uumpisa. But then, you will now go to those who are magagaling. Tell us your story naman. Because we're so inspired. Ano bang secret sauce mo? Itong nakakatuwa eh. Yung talagang magagaling, hindi swapang sa knowledge, nagsishare yan. Di mo napansin? Yung mga sikat yan sa NXGN, di ba? Yung mga upline nyo. Yung mga magagaling. Pag lumapit kayo humingi ng advice, nagbibigay ba o hindi? Of course, nagbibigay. Bakit? Marami kasing alam. Hindi na-threaten. Bakit may mga taong ayaw magturo? Kasi, walang masyadong alam. Yung kukunting nalalaman, pag sinare pa, wala nang naiwan. So, that's why they continue to learn. They fill their brains with a lot of knowledge. Kaya lang may trade-off. Ano ang trade-off niyan? Eh, babawasan mo na yung binging mo sa Netflix series. Puputulin mo na yung walang tigil na kasusundan doon sa series ng Twilight. Eh, baka naman kasi meron kang ambisyon na mag-sparkle o kaya may aspiration ka maging vampira. Babawasan mo na yung mga video games at wag na wag kang papasok sa mga sabong and gambling. Iiwasan mo na yung entertainment, yung Mobile Legend and Minecraft na yan, pag pinakpalit mo sa nagbabasa ka ngayon ng mga libro at literatura patungkol dun sa entrepreneurship, magtataka ka ba kung bakit gumagaling ka? Next, mata. Eyes are constantly watching for opportunities. Now, some of you may not be doing this full time, but you always watch out for days to expand your business na kita ko na eh. So, this pandemic has made our products become essential in terms of people's situation and requirements. Mouth, bibig. Do you believe in your product so much that you are telling and proclaiming people about it? If you happen to be a team lead, are you constantly telling your people about your vision and the direction they need to go to add value to the growth of the business and to growth in their personal lives? Ears. The ears are hungry for feedback. How do you handle complaints? Complaints are gifts. Feedback provides us with ideas on how to improve. And that's why successful entrepreneurs know that everybody has blind spots. Kaya yung feedback will always help them improve. Next, stomach. Building up the courage to take calculated, informed, and educated risks. You know, many in this industry started out as consumers, something they do on the fringe. But then eventually, they grow their mind through knowledge and the training. They hear and they get feedback and help them improve. They started sharing their ideas and I see opportunities and they pull up the courage and go for it and then expand their business. They build their database. They mine the data. They use technology to help them do that. Yung iba, ano ba yung data mining na yan? Ano ba yung data gathering? Ang hindi nahihiya magtanong, tuturuan naman sila. Dati kasi wala naman mga digital tools to help you do this. But now, if you're not using those tools, you're losing out on a huge opportunity. And so when your gut feel contradicts the reality of data or data, then it is no longer gut feel. May mga negosyante hanggang ngayon, ano bang importante? Data or gut feel? Ang sagot agad, gut feel. Kako, mali. Dati kasi wala pa yung mga data, walang technology, kaya lahat puro gut feel. Pero ngayon, kung meron kang data at kumokontra dun sa desisyon mo, hindi na gut feel yan, ang tawag dyan, indigestion. So, you have to use technology to help you. Next, heart. With positive results coming in, with the business growing, you cannot convince them to trade off their joy of doing business with other cheap substitute because the heart is already there passionately serving, rigorously improving, knowing na itong ginagawa ko, higit pa sa perang kinikita ko, ayan o, kailangan nila ang mga produkto natin that can help them maintain their health. For those of you who are listening for the first time, I'm so proud to say that I've been a Usana brand ambassador, what, 4 years now, 5 years? And then even before I became their brand ambassador, I have been using the product. Maybe that's the reason why at my age right now, I can still continue to function. It's an investment actually. And this is also the reason why we have to keep on being productive. And this industry allows us to do so. Well, one day, things are going to be a little bit better as we begin to experience getting better in tiny, small ways pa lang ngayon. But when that day happens, we got to make sure that we are at the very strategic point in order to explore and exploit opportunities. And there's no more important time than now. I've always believed in the now. And I always believe in adapting myself and changing myself. And then, hindi ako makakalusot sa boss ko eh. My daughter now says, Dad, whether you like it or not, dapat may TikTok ka na. Kaya nasa TikTok na rin ako. At may podcast pa rin. So, sabi ko, paano ba yan? Sasayaw ako? Sabi niya, hindi, may educational pala yung TikTok. Eh, akala ko lahat puro song and dance. Kita mo, napakabobo ko kasi hindi ko inaral eh. So, ngayon napipilitan ako mag-aral. Kaya lang minsan, habang nag-aaral, nadidistracted na naman ako sa dami ng mga TikTok na yan. So, I have to battle distraction and try to focus on what is important. Yung unang labas namin TikTok, konti pa lang ang following kasi kalalabas lang. Meron silang ginawa na, kanino ka makikinig? Sigaw ng puso mo o sigaw ng nanay mo? Aba, ang daming nakagusto pala dyan sa mga ganyan. So I think I'm having a formula. Mag-e-experiment ako. Mag-e-experiment ako ng mga nakakatawang mga bagay na ganyan, pero nagbibigay pa rin ng education. See? Even I myself, I just have to TikTok my way to the future. And so we have to learn. Maraming salamat for having me. And I hope that you found tonight useful and helpful for your journey as entrepreneurs. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Sir Francis Kong. That was very
You're
inspirational.
welcome.
And of course, to ask Sana our participants to post your questions in the chat box, like Sir Francis Kong said, this is the most important part so that we can get insights from him, right? Ito na yung chance natin. And ayan, we're currently waiting as well on Facebook for our questions. And ayan, and for our thank yous as well for you, Sir Francis Kong. Ayan. And of course, we were also able to get our first question already. All right, to maximize our time. All right, here we go. So the first question, Sir Francis, is how can one build excitement in doing their business during a slump?
During, what's the last part?
A slump, sir.
Slump. Okay. Study the life of Babe Ruth, the legendary baseball player. Ang haba ng slump niya eh. But the guy just keeps on hitting and hitting and hitting. So nandun ang lahat ng media, wala na, laos na yan, so forth and so on. Sabi niya ang katwiran niya, no, this is just a temporary situation. The next time I'm gonna hit it, and he did. And so he became the main legend of baseball, Babe Ruth. Sa sobrang sikat niya, ginawa nga siyang chocolate. And so, you have to understand, ang lalabanan mo is, this job is not for me. If you're in the slump, ask for help. Get literature. Find out kung ano pa ang mga ideas na makakatulong sa'yo. Baka naman there are certain things that you need to adjust. Baka naman there are certain things, or this is just August for you if you were in garments. So you got to write through it, but keep your mind active all the time by continuously learning. Kung hindi ka bumebenta ngayon, pero yung mind mo nag-aaral pa, pagkatapos ngayon ng rainy days, Christmas season na yan, handang-handa ka na, bumalik ka ulit dito sa game mong baseball, just like a Babe Ruth. Everybody has slumps. I have slumps. So, the only difference is that senior citizen na ako eh. Marami na ako na-experience. Kaya I know how to ride the waves. Secondly, ang example ko kanina, baseball. Sa Pilipinas, di naman sikat ang baseball. O sige nga, mag-boxing naman tayo. Hindi politiko ha, boxing. And so, ano ang matututunan natin sa boxing? Sabi nga ni Mike Tyson, you can have all the strategy you want until you get punched in the face. So, anong ginagawa ng boksingero kapag sila'y nasusuntok? Kapag sila'y nasusuntok, here's the popular line in English, they roll with the punch. they roll with the punch. Ano ang mangyayari? Pag tinigasan mo ngayon yung mukha mo, edi mas malaki ang damage mo. Sometimes when we are in a slump, the worst thing you would do is to force yourself against it. Sometimes you gotta write it out. Katulad na sinabi ko, nababaliw yung mga kalaban ko, nag-o-offer ng discount, may free tuwalya pa for every pair of jeans. They just don't get it. You have to write it out, but then continually ask for advice, ask for help, get literature, learn, keep your mind active, and then that slump will go away. And you'll go back now to your former self or even become better. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Sir Francis. And for our second
Yeah.
question, what's your advice on or strategy as well for us for the last quarter of 2021 and first quarter of 2022 naman?
Go all out. This is the time. You gotta go all out now. Kasi nabibuild na unti-unti yung fighting spirit ng tao ngayon eh. Our cases are going lower. You just hope and pray na yung spike sa Europe hindi makarating dito. But this is the time when you should go all out na. Bakit? Sana naman yung pera hindi out of revenge spending sa mga bagay na walang value na maa-add sa buhay nila. Kung hindi dito sa mga produkto natin na nakakatulong naman in building their immune system. Because if ever makakaroon ng surge sa dami ng mga taong lumalabas or whatever it is that will happen, which we hope it will not, at least they're in a better state right now. Kaya ako, I would go all out. So the strategy now is don't waste time, rally up your people now, and really go all out. Makikipag-compete tayo ngayon. Doon sa search, ang tawag dito ngayon, the business people are calling them the search of expenditures. Spending search, that's the right term. Makikipag-compete tayo sa spending search ng tao ngayon. Can you imagine, bumibili ng maleta, hindi pa pala nagta-travel, nagbabalak pa lang. So this might be a good time for them to buy things that are beneficial for them. Go all out.
I agree, Sir Francis. Speaking of, pati nga yung latest iPhone, alam ko, out of stock. Grabe, no?
Oh,
Priorities.
oh,
Thank you so
yeah,
much, sir.
you're
And
right.
finally, for our last question, you said that focus is the new intelligence. What is the
Mhm.
ultimate tip that you can give us to keep ourselves focused despite all of the challenges and, of course, the distractions?
Number one, cut off all your notifications from your smart devices. Kinakailangan ba habulin ka ng newsfeed kung kahit saan ka magpunta? Number two, huwag kang ma-addicted sa binging on Netflix. Ngayon, yung Netflix, nanonood ako niyan. Pero reward yan. Kasi the day is done, marami na akong productivity, and maybe one day, we will have an opportunity for me to teach you on how to space out the time of the day into productive endeavors. Iba-iba kasi ang energy and attention level natin throughout the times of the day. I make sure I start the day with quiet time, building and refreshing my internal being. And then immediately I go into creative writing because that is when the mind is still fresh. Pero hirap ka na pagdating dun sa afternoon or especially towards the evening. So, ini-space out ko ngayon yung mga activity according to my energy level. So, the people who know how to be productive, they understand how to space it. So, ang problema ngayon, nandun ka pa sa peak ng iyong energy level, ginastos mo yung no. So pagdating doon sa mga bagay na dapat mong gawin, wala ka ng energy and attention. You lose your focus. So I would like to suggest that you have to strategize. Ano ba ang dapat natin? Si Netflix ang yumayaman, sabi ni Angel. Yeah. And so, saan ba nanggagaling yung pera nila? So, you have to understand that here's a very famous saying. The main thing is to make the main thing the main thing. Ano ba ang dapat kong gawin? Yun yung main thing ko eh. Kaya ang main thing mo, gawin mo yung main thing na yan. Every other activities from the main thing is usurping and robbing the resources that is supposed to be invested in the main thing. So that's how you keep focus. Do not be distracted. And one more thing, learn to say no. So I politely decline and I do say no to activities that will not add value to my success goals. Naka-strategize kasi siya eh. So, I hope that answers the question.
Very much, Sir Francis. Thank you so much. And next gen, let's give another round of virtual clap for Sir Francis Kong. Grabe. Thank you so much for the wonderful,
thank you very much,
valuable learning, sir, and powerful insights. If I may just share very quickly some of my takeaways, it's really adding value to the people. When you said that business is also cyclical and also seasonal, napakalaking bagay, and to really focus and of course to TikTok our way to focus as well and to the future as well. So thank you so much, Sir Francis, and thank you to every one of us here on Zoom and Facebook, right, for being here, and congratulations for the intention to learn, and of course from no other than Sir Francis Kong himself. All right.
Yeah, thank you, May.
Thank you, Sir Francis. And of course, to those who would like to review this amazing learning session, or you have registered teammates who were not able to connect with us live, NXGN Exceed Facebook group will be open and this video will be able to access this one until Sunday, November 21. Okay, that's very exciting. I myself, I will be reviewing this session. And for those of